والنجم إذا هوى ما ضل صاحبكم وما غوى.
Allah is vast in forgiveness. Human beings have become extremely narrow in forgiveness because they're away from Allah. You know what you have now? Millions of videos. How to deal with a narcissist. How to deal with a toxic person. If you have a toxic spouse, watch this. If you have a toxic mother, watch this. Oh my God, my mother's toxic. My cousin's toxic. My brother's toxic. My husband's toxic. My wife is toxic. My God, I live in a toxic waste dump. I better put a hazmat suit on. Everybody around me is toxic. And all those toxic people are watching the same toxic video and calling you toxic. Isn't that the world we live in now? And by the way, once you declare someone is a narcissist, someone is toxic, you know what that means, right? Is that like this week they're toxic or they're forever toxic? Oh, that's a toxic person. That means they're going to die toxic. They're going to die a narcissist. They're going to die this. Once you put a label on them, once you put a sin on them, once you put a mistake on them, once you put a label on them, they must wear that label like their own skin. They have to become this now. And we call this liberation. This is liberation. And religion is oppressive. Do you see the hypocrisy and the irony? What is Allah just saying? What is Allah saying? Allah is saying people who, like the best people are people who accomplish this amazing thing. What's this amazing thing? They stayed away from major sins. That's it. They didn't pray all night and fast every Monday and Thursday, and they didn't do Umrah they didn't quit all their friends. They didn't just cry all the time. They didn't do any of that. They just stayed away from major things. Then what? Oh yeah, they messed up a little bit. Huh? Wait, that doesn't sound like ihsan. That sounds like they did something toxic. They messed up. How can you they can't be part of this ayah. Yeah, you didn't decide there's Allah. And he says, well, I'm not that forgiving. Yeah, you're not that forgiving. Inna rabbaka wasi'ul maghfirah. Your Rabb is vast in forgiveness, which is an interesting indication that you're not vast in forgiveness. This religion came to open the doors of rahmah for people. There are people in your family you've had an argument with, they messed up, they said something, stuff happened. It's hard for you to let go. It's hard. Some people are so hard pressed on not being able to forgive. You know what they do? They say dramatic things about Judgment Day. Allah will ask you on Judgment Day. I will tell Allah about this on Judgment Day. I love that. I love that line. Allah will ask you on Judgment Day. Because Allah told you what He's going to ask on Judgment Day. And when Judgment Day begins and every creation is quiet, He's going to give you a passport. You're going to say, Ya Allah, before the proceedings begin, my cousin, last Eid, ask him about what he said. That's how you think Judgment Day is going to work. The audacity with which we speak about who Allah will punish and what He will question, so far from what Allah says. So far from what Allah says. Here we are looking for the rahmah from Allah, begging for the rahmah from Allah, and we have no room for rahmah for each other. It's incredible. And Allah is describing this, and the Sahaba were like, there's one ayah in Surah An-Najm. وَلَمْ يَلْبَسُوا إِيمَانَهُمْ بِظُلْمٍ. Allah describes believers. He says, those who believed and never corrupted their faith with doing anything wrong. And the Sahaba were like, we're done. Nobody's going to heaven. Because the ayah says they believed and they never corrupted their faith with anything wrong. How many? They're all human. They've done plenty of things wrong. What's going to happen? They went to the Prophet. Ayyuna la yazlimu nafsahu. Who of us doesn't wrong themselves? No, Allah is saying dhulm here means shirk. They didn't do something majorly bad. The ultimate dhulm. Inna shirka la dhulmun azim. That's what Allah is saying here. The Prophet explained, and the Sahaba are like, And so are the rest of us, like, oh, okay. You know what? I've been trying to study Quran for 20 something years. I'll tell you something. The khutbahs that I've heard in my youth and the talks and the literature that I've read, it made me feel for a long time that chances are I'm going to hell. And so are most of you. Chances are. Because we're not going to make it. We're just not good enough. And the reason that's happened is because we're constantly compared to people that were amazing. So, and clearly I'm no Abu Bakr, you're no Umar, you're no Fatima, you're no Aisha. So we're basically meant for the grand barbecue. That's and then the khutbahs that I heard all these years, the thing that kept getting repeated is all the amazing people already died. And now we just have you. I don't know if you've heard all of this, but I certainly did. Over and over again. You know how you say kinaya, you're saying it without saying it? There's a lot of saying this without saying it. And Allah is angry with this person, and Allah will punish this, and Allah will get you for this. And look at what the Muslims are doing here. Allah will punish, Allah will punish, Allah will punish. Look at this haram, look at this haram, look at this haram. And yep, Allah is going to punish. I don't think I'm going to make it. This looks pretty bad. And they got a lot of dalil too. They quote a lot of ayat and the hadith. And when they get to the ayat of like Jahannam, then the volume goes up. You ever notice that? The volume goes up whenever they talk about Jahannam? Even the khatib, nicest guy. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you? Alhamdulillah, mashallah. Then he's about to give a khutbah. Inna alhamdulillah, nahmadu wa nasta'inu. What happened to you? You just sent everybody to hell with your voice. And then I found something else. So one narrative of Islam I found, even studying Islam, a narrative of Islam I found is, chances are you're going to Jannah. Then I found a counter narrative, a reaction. And to every action, there's equal but opposite reaction. The Prophet ﷺ loved humanity. Allah loves us. We should love ourselves. Allah will forgive. Let's tolerate. Let's accept. Let's hold hands. Let's accept the sinner. Let's hug the sinner. Let's hug the sin while we're at it too. Because the deen is rahmah. We need to have rahmah. Rahmah. Allah is ar-Rahman. So one extreme was everybody's going to hell. And then you get an equal but opposite reaction, which is what? Everybody's going to heaven. It's a party. And I have to you know what? One thing you will notice, all of these, is ma tahwa al-anfus. Is dhann and hawa nafs. I don't say this with 100% guarantee, but I'm a student of psychology. And I've seen men that talk a lot about hellfire and they don't have healthy personal lives. There's a lot going on in their life and they're very angry about it, and it comes out on the mimbar. And I'm not joking. This is serious. There are women that are teaching halaqats that are talking about how difficult it is for you to make it into Jannah. And they are very depressed in their personal life. Their emotions have now started polluting. They don't even realize it. It started polluting their understanding of the religion, corrupting it. Now it's not the Quran speaking. It's me making the Quran speak what I want to say. I'm using the Quran, but I'm actually speaking my own thoughts, my own version. Allah is extremely loving sometimes and extremely scary sometimes. He's both. Allah opens some doors sometimes. But when I said slip-ups, Allah will forgive. Some people here got uncomfortable. What, is he trying to make everybody liberal? You know why? Because your comfort zone is in the conservative. And some people here that may lean towards the liberal dynamic say, finally, someone speaking my truth. Because you know what that is? That's our own hawa finding what we find comfort in and not comfort in. But you and I have to learn to surrender to the word of Allah. Like, I don't have to concern myself with how you will feel when I share what Allah says, because some of you will be uncomfortable with what Allah says. Some of you are not used to hearing what Allah says. If I start caring about that, then that's my hawa nafs. That's me, yantiqu anil hawa. I'm thinking about your feelings before I open my mouth. I can't. Then I shouldn't do this. I should talk about something else. If I'm going to talk about the Quran, then I have to be as honest with the Quran as possible. And I don't have to, I can't concern myself with your emotions and your comfort zones.